I thought adopting a shy orphan would heal our hearts, until a hidden photo revealed he's my late father's secret son. Now our family's fate hangs in the balance. I never expected that taking in a timid orphan would unearth the deepest secret of my late father's life. My name is Avery Caldwell, I'm 31, and my husband, Levi Caldwell, and I shared a comfortable life in suburban Illinois. We laughed over mismatched socks, planned weekend barbecues, and dreamed of one day filling our home with children's laughter. Last autumn, we decided to adopt a 7-year-old boy, John Wells, from Bright Horizons Orphanage, hoping to share our love and stability with a child who'd known too little of both. The first meeting. Bright Horizons felt alive with possibility the day we arrived. A crisp breeze carried the scent of fallen leaves, and sunshine splintered through the maple canopy. I tightened Levi's hand in mine. "You ready?" he asked, voice gentle. I swallowed. More than ever. Inside, the orphanage's tall windows framed colorful paintings. Ms. Eleanor Jacobs, the director, welcomed us with warm eyes. "Avery, Levi, thank you for coming back," she said, referring to our preliminary visit weeks earlier. "I have someone I believe will fit beautifully into your family." She led us down a corridor. A cluster of children played in a sunny room, but one small figure sat alone, arms wrapped around his knees. His chestnut hair fell in tousled waves, and his brown eyes held a quiet curiosity. "This is John Wells," Miss Jacobs introduced. "He's 7, loves building block cities, and treasures any story about architects and engineers." I knelt, heart fluttering. "Hi, John. I'm Avery, and this is Levi." John's gaze flicked between us, then fell to the floor. After a long moment, he whispered, "Hi." Levi offered a gentle smile. "We'd love to learn more about you, John." John nodded, tentatively placing his small hand in mine. The warmth of trust bloomed in that simple touch, bringing John home. Our home felt brighter when John's battered duffel bag passed through the doorway. He examined our furniture with wide eyes, especially the empty corner we'd prepared for him in the living room, outfitted with pillows and a stack of picture books. Levi had set up a little bed in the spare room, complete with dinosaur sheets and a nightlight shaped like a lighthouse. Dinner that night was shepherd's pie, chosen from John's folder of favorite foods. He hovered at the counter until I beckoned him to the table. After a cautious first bite, his eyes lit up. "This is good," he announced. His cheeks dimpled in a shy smile. Levi raised his glass of orange juice. "Welcome to our family, John." Crumbs and contentment mingled in the candlelit kitchen, a moment of simple joy I never took for granted. Settling into routines. Over the next few weeks, John's laughter echoed through our halls. Weekday mornings began with pancakes and cartoons. Weekends we built intricate forts in the backyard with blankets and lawn chairs. John insisted on adding secret rooms, where only he and we could slip away for storytelling. His favorite tales always featured ingenious architects crafting hidden passages. One Friday evening, John and I baked oatmeal cookies. Flour dusted his hair, and he giggled each time I accidentally brushed frosting across his nose. "You're a good teacher," he said, proud. "You're a great student," I replied as Levi snapped a photo. At bedtime, John clutched a well-worn comic book about building bridges. "My dad built bridges," he murmured as I read him a chapter aloud. My heart constricted. He spoke of a father I barely remembered, my own dad, Carter Winfield, manager at Winfield Construction, before his untimely death 2 years ago. John's precise words, "my dad," echoed like an echo from the past. I stroked his hair. "Your dad sounds amazing." "He was," John replied softly. He wore a hard hat and held my hand. The photograph. It was during a spring cleaning that I discovered the photograph. I was sorting through John's duffel, preparing to donate a worn toy. Tucked behind a children's book was a folded photo, edges frayed. I unfolded it gently. The image showed a little boy, John, grinning beside a man in a construction vest and hard hat. The man's face was warm and familiar, his jawline and eyes identical to my father's. My breath caught. I recognized Carter's posture from old family albums. The setting looked like one of Dad's job sites. My hands trembled as I showed Levi. His eyes widened. "That man looks just like Carter." I whispered. "That boy is John." A hush fell between us. Questions tumbled. Why had we never heard of this child? How could Carter have kept a secret family? And what did John know of his past? That night, I lay awake in our bed, Levi's steady breathing at my side. John's gentle snores drifted from the next room, a reminder that this mystery concerned not just history, but a real child who needed love and truth. The decision to investigate. By morning, we agreed. We owed it to John and to Carter's memory to uncover the truth. I contacted Ms. Jacobs discreetly, inquiring about John's background. She promised to provide what records she could: birth certificates, foster placement notes, adoption inquiries. But orphanage files offered little. John had arrived at age 2 under unknown parentage, with a sole relative unreachable. Levi suggested DNA testing. "If he's Dad's son," he said quietly, "we need confirmation." I hesitated. DNA meant irrevocable answers, yet John deserved the truth. We spoke with an adoption specialist who arranged a paternity test as a medical inquiry. John cooperated eagerly. He liked the idea of science. 2 weeks later, the results arrived. A 99.98% match between John and Carter Winfield's saved buccal sample. I sank into my chair, heart pounding. John was my half-brother. Update 1. The moment I saw the DNA report, Levi and I felt as if the ground beneath us shifted. John was not just an adopted son. He was my father's biological child. We had to tell him gently and decide how to approach my mother, Marissa Winfield, who still mourned Carter deeply, telling John. That afternoon, Levi and I sat in John's bedroom, the early summer light filtering through pastel curtains. He was halfway through a model rocket kit, tongue poking the corner of his mouth in concentration. "John?" I began softly, setting the report on his desk. He looked up, curious. "We have something important to share with you." His eyes widened at the paperwork. "What is it?" he whispered. Levi took John's hand. "You know how much we love you, and how much your dad loved you." John nodded, brow furrowed. I swallowed. "We learned something from a DNA test. You share the same father as me, my dad, Carter Winfield." John blinked, silent for a heartbeat longer than comfort allowed, then asked quietly, "That means you're my sister?" I hugged him, tears prickling. "Yes, John, I'm your half-sister." He pulled back, processing. "So, you're not my mom, but your family." Levi added, "Family comes in many forms, and we're all here together." John's lower lip trembled. "I'm glad." He hugged us both, relief intermingled with uncertainty. Marissa's reaction. Next, we needed to tell my mother. Marissa Winfield had kept Carter's memory alive: photo albums, Sunday brunch rituals, his favorite jazz records. She deserved the truth, though I feared it would break her all over again. That evening, we gathered in her cozy parlor. She sipped chamomile with her usual grace, asked after our day. I sat beside her on the floral sofa, Levi behind me. John stood by the window, hands clasped. "Mom?" I began, voice trembling. "John is our brother." Marissa's teacup clattered. "What?" I handed her the DNA report. She squinted, then gasped. "No, this can't be," Levi guided her gently. He tested using a saved sample of Carter's DNA. "It's conclusive." Marissa's face dissolved into tears. She covered her mouth, rocked slightly. "Carter, he never told me." John approached, voice small. "Grandma?" Marissa opened her arms. John slid in beside her. She rocked him and whispered, "I love you so much." For a long moment, they clung together. Then Marissa looked up, eyes red but resolute. "We will face this together," she said. "He was a good man. He made mistakes." I placed my hand over hers. "We'll make sure John knows his father loved him." Uncovering the backstory. Over the following days, fueled by a mix of grief, guilt, and curiosity, we dove into Carter's past. I visited his old office at Winfield Construction, now run by his longtime assistant. Ms. Pauline Grant led me to a dusty filing cabinet and retrieved Carter's personnel file. He had transferred from another city 2 decades earlier. Among his files was a single envelope labeled, "Personal, do not open." Inside was correspondence between Carter and a woman named Lydia Harper, John's mother. The letters spoke of a summer romance and a promise. "If ever you need me, you'll have my child." When Carter faced pressure to relocate for work, he wrote, "I cannot leave and abandon her. Please trust me. I will return for our child." The last note, dated weeks before my parents' wedding, ended with Carter's anguish. "I'm so sorry I can't be both husband and father to them." Ms. Grant looked on with sympathy. He kept that file hidden, never mentioned it publicly. My chest ached. Carter had led 2 lives. One as a devoted husband and father to me, another as a secret lover and father to John. Healing conversations. That weekend, we convened a family meeting at my parents' lake cottage, a place of cherished memories. Marissa, John, Levi, and I sat on the dock's edge, legs dangling above the water. I spoke first. "I want us to honor both parts of Dad's life. John deserves to know his father loved him, and so do we." John looked at the ripples. "I miss him," he whispered. Levi wrapped his arms around John. "We all miss him, but he lives on in both of you," Marissa added. "Your father never stopped caring, John. I forgive him, and I'm grateful for you." She held him tight as he cried. In that circle, mother, son, daughter, husband, we shared grief and forgiveness. The water below seemed to whisper acceptance, moving forward. Back home, we reconfigured our lives. John now split his weeks between our home and Marissa's. Double the love, double the support. Levi and I kept our role as adoptive parents, while Marissa embraced her role as grandmother guardian. We celebrated John's 8th birthday with a construction theme party, safety vests, plastic helmets, and a build-your-own cake station. John beamed as Marissa crowned him with a paper hard hat. "Happy birthday to our builder boy," she toasted, her eyes shining. That night, I tucked John into bed. "You're part of an amazing family, John. 2 mothers, a sister, a father in heaven, and me." He smiled sleepily. "I'm lucky." I kissed his forehead. "We're lucky to have you." Update 2. The weeks following our lake cottage reckoning carried a heady blend of hope, questions, and practical challenges. We had embraced John as both our son and my half-brother. But the world beyond our family circle still needed answers, and sometimes explanations that didn't exist in any manual. School and the new reality. The first Monday after John's birthday, Levi and I walked him to Maple Grove Elementary. His backpack, the same blue one he'd carried since adoption, felt heavier with the weight of newfound lineage. "Hey, buddy," Levi said, ruffling John's hair as we reached the school gate. "Ready for your first day as a kid with 2 grandmas, a sister, and an adoptive mom and dad?" John grinned, then flattened under my arm for a quick hug. "I'm just ready for recess." Inside the classroom, I sat at the back as Mrs. Patel introduced John Wells. Several classmates raised eyebrows. John's official last name now matched mine, a small legal change we'd arranged for consistency. His brown eyes tracked mine nervously, but he managed a shy thumbs up. After school, John bounded out. "They're nice," he reported, "but they asked why I have so many parents." Levi laughed. "Just tell them you're special." John considered. "I'll say I've got a big family and a big secret." I squeezed his hand. "Your secret is safe with us. Legal and guardianship questions." Back home, Levi and I faced the next hurdle, formalizing John's legal status. Though adoption had granted us full parental rights, my blood relationship introduced inheritance and guardianship questions. If anything happened to us, would John default to Marissa instead of us? And what legal standing did he hold in Carter's estate? That Thursday, we met with attorney Darius Bloom, a family law specialist. His office smelled of polished wood and leather. "Avery, Levi," he began, scanning documents on his desk. "Given John's dual status, as adopted child and biological son, there are 2 estates to consider, Carter's and any assets you hold jointly." He explained that Carter's will did not mention John. We needed to petition the probate court to recognize him as a rightful heir. Marissa stood to the side, eyes shimmering. "I'll support whatever's best for John." Attorney Bloom nodded. We'll file a petition for heir recognition. It should include the DNA report, our adoption decree, and testimonies confirming Carter's paternity. The court typically moves swiftly, 4 to 6 weeks. He added, also consider setting up a trust for John to manage any inheritance until he's of age. Given his complex position, it's prudent. Levi exhaled. Thank you. We'll move quickly. The will and its ghosts. A few days later, Attorney Bloom led us to Carter's probate hearing in the county courthouse. A small gathering. Myself, Levi, Marissa, and a court clerk. Carter's original will lay on the bench, securely typed and witnessed, naming Marissa and me as primary beneficiaries. Now, with John's paternity known, the court needed to amend the will. When the judge entered, a stern woman with silver hair, she reviewed the petition, then looked at John perched on Levi's lap. Avery, you contend John Wells is the biological son of the late Carter Winfield and should share equally in the estate. I nodded. Yes, Your Honor. The judge called Marissa to confirm. Marissa swallowed, voice wavering. I affirm he was Carter's son, and his place in the family is rightful. She then directed the court. The will is hereby amended to include John Wells as a beneficiary. The estate will be divided into 3 equal shares, Mrs. Winfield, Ms. Caldwell, and John Wells, managed by his guardians until he reaches 21. So ordered. A soft gasp rose from Marissa. She dabbed her eyes. John's fingers dug into Levi's shirt. He didn't yet fully grasp the formality, just sensed profound importance. Outside the courtroom, I hugged John, whispering, "You're part of Dad's legacy now." Navigating family dynamics. Back at the lake cottage for dinner, the mood mingled relief and awkwardness. Marissa prepared Carter's favorite pot roast. The aroma felt like a bridge to the past. She placed a glass of red wine before Levi and a sparkling apple cider for me and John. To family, she said, lifting her glass, all 3 of us children of Carter. John choked on his cider. 3? I smiled. Your big sister, your grandma, and you. John's eyes shone. I'm 3rd in line? Marissa winked. And special beyond measure. Later, in the living room, Marissa invited me for a private word. Avery, I love you like a daughter. But sharing my husband's legacy with another child, it's been hard. I worry I'll be replaced. I took her hands. Mom, you're irreplaceable. John needs you, and he needs me. We're one big blended family, and this house has room for all our love. Her shoulders relaxed. I want to believe that. We embraced. 2 women bound by love for the same man and a boy who would carry his name. John's questions. That night, I sat on John's bed to say goodnight. He hugged a plush dinosaur, brow-knitted. Avery, why did Dad keep me a secret? I sighed. He faced enormous pressures, family expectations, work responsibilities. I think he feared losing everything if he acknowledged you. But he never stopped loving you. John's lip trembled. He loved me, but he left me. I know, I whispered, brushing his hair. He made mistakes. But we're here now, and you're part of our hearts. John nodded sleepily. Will you tell me more stories of him? I smiled, beginning to recount Carter's childhood antics. As his breathing slowed, I wondered how many secrets remained buried, Carter's joys and regrets, and how John's future would be shaped by truths unearthed. Community reactions. The next morning, I headed to the local community center where parents and kids gathered for summer reading programs. At the check-in desk, Mrs. Thomas, a grandmother I'd befriended, greeted me warmly. Avery, I saw the announcement in the local paper, John's inclusion in Carter Winfield's estate. Congratulations. I managed a polite smile. Thank you. It's been an adjustment. She nodded sympathetically. Secrets have a way of surfacing. You're doing right by him. Word of John's paternity spread quietly among neighbors. Some offered unsolicited advice on wills and family therapy. Others simply nodded support. Only one person hesitated. My cousin, Bethany Clay, who avoided eye contact whenever we passed. I wondered what whispers trailed behind us but chose to focus on the generous offers of help. Rediscovering Carter. That weekend, Marissa and I visited Carter's old office to gather additional mementos for John. The building stood silent under a summer sky, the construction site photos faded on the walls. Pauline Grant, his former assistant, welcomed us. "I kept these for you," she said, handing over a leather-bound journal, Carter's project log. Page after page detailed construction blueprints, but among them were personal notes, weekend breakfast with family, gardening plans, birthday wishes for me. The last entry, dated 2 weeks before his accident, read, "Lydia and I walked by the lake. Our son's laughter echoed. I promised him a life I couldn't fully give." I gasped, clutching the journal. "He loved John." Pauline nodded. "He truly regretted never bringing him home. Said he'd find a way." I realized then that Carter's silence had been a sacrifice. He stitched his two families' lives in hidden stitches, hoping to protect us all. Now, knowing his heart, John's smile at having a father in both our memories felt like Carter's final gift, embracing the future. On Sunday evening, the entire family gathered in our backyard, Marissa, Levi, John, and me, to plant a sapling beside the oak where Carter and Marissa had first kissed. John held the shovel, patting soil around the root ball. "Grow strong," he whispered. Levi poured water. "Like families, trees need care." Marissa knelt, hugging John. "We'll grow together, always." I planted my hand on the young trunk. "Here's to new beginnings." Under pink dusk, we stood united. 2 generations, 3 children of one father, and partners bound by love's unbreakable threads. Update 3. Winter's first frost dusted our suburban lawns with sparkling whiteness, and Christmas lights twinkled in nearly every window. Our blended family had weathered revelations, legalities, and new bonds. And now, as the year closed, it was time to celebrate how far we'd come, planning the winter solstice celebration. In early December, I suggested turning the annual family gathering into a winter solstice celebration, a blend of traditions to honor all branches of John's family tree. Levi brought in evergreen wreaths, Marissa planned a special menu of Carter's favorite dishes, and Lydia offered to bake gingerbread men. John's eyes shone. It's our first real holiday. We invited everyone, biological and adoptive grandparents, a few close friends, and our immediate family. Even Bethany and her children came, albeit with cautious smiles. The guest list brimmed with the constellation of relationships that now defined John's world. Preparations and unexpected visitors. Days before the celebration, I set up tables in our living room. Photos of Carter dotted the walls. Him in a hard hat at a construction site, him kneeling beside toddler Avery, and the new photo of him with baby John that we'd placed in a gilded frame. On the mantel, I arranged seasonal candles, and beneath them, cards and letters from ancestors. My tribute to history, Lydia arrived to help decorate. She placed a handmade ornament, etched with John's name on our Christmas tree. "He'll know he has many roots," she said softly. I hugged her. "Thank you for everything." That afternoon, a knock on the door revealed Ms. Eleanor Jacobs, the orphanage director. In her hands, she held a small box. "For John," she said. Inside lay a model of a Lego city, blocks meticulously arranged to mimic his favorite fantasy fort. "He left this with me," Ms. Jacobs explained. "Said he hoped to build it again with someone who cared." Tears welled in John's eyes as he hugged both her and me. The solstice gathering. On the evening of the solstice, our home glowed with candlelight and laughter. Guests arrived, greeted by hot cider and freshly baked cookies. John flitted between groups, showing neighbors his dual family tree project, introducing Lydia to Marissa's friends, and dragging Levi to the fireplace to demonstrate his Lego City model. At the center of the room, we placed a solstice fire, a ring of candles around an evergreen wreath. Levi called everyone to gather. "For us, this circle represents unity," he began, voice warm. "Our family expanded this year in surprising ways. We celebrate not only winter's arrival, but the bonds that hold us together: love, forgiveness, and shared stories." Marissa stepped forward. "Carter taught me that family is everything. Tonight we honor his memory by opening our hearts and our home to all who love him, and love John." Lydia raised her glass. "To Carter, whose love was big enough to include us all." Glasses clinked. John grinned from between Lydia and Marissa. I felt tears sting as I realized this night encapsulated our journey, from secrets and sorrow to acceptance and celebration, healing conversations. After toasts, clusters of guests formed around the solstice fire. I found Bethany standing beside my cousin Evan Harper, who worked in municipal planning. Bethany gave me a tentative smile. "I'm sorry for my earlier reservations," she said quietly. "Seeing John with all of us, it's clear how loved he is." I nodded. "Thank you for being here. It means a lot." She glanced at John. "He's a remarkable boy." I smiled. "He's brave, and he's ours, every one of us." Meanwhile, John tugged Levi toward the tree. "Look," he said with pride, pointing to his ornament. Levi ruffled his hair. "I love how we each made something special for you." Reflections by the fire. Later, I slipped away from the crowd to the cozy nook by the fireplace. Marissa joined me, wrapping a shawl around her shoulders. "Look at him," she said, nodding toward John, Lydia, and Levi laughing over gingerbread men. "He's happy." I exhaled softly. "I'm grateful for every person who's embraced him." Marissa touched my arm. "You did all this. Kyle would be proud." I paused at her mention of Carter's middle name, Kyle, and realized how his spirit had guided us across boundaries. He would, I agreed. He gave us the strength to face hard truths and the chance to choose love. An unexpected gift. As the night wound down and guests slowly departed into the snowy street, Lydia approached me with a small parcel. "I have something for you." Inside was a leather-bound journal, Carter's personal diary I had not yet seen. Lydia had retrieved it from her family home. Carter had entrusted it to her mother. The pages brimmed with engineering notes, but interspersed were personal reflections, longing for family, guilt over leaving Lydia and John, and unwavering love for Marissa and Avery. At the end, a final entry read, December 21st, 20XX, solstice. Tonight, I watched the sky glow. I wish you all warmth and joy, my loves. Avery, my child. Marissa, my anchor. Lydia and John, my hidden treasures. May our hearts find peace beyond life's twists. I closed the diary, tears flowing freely. Holding it tight, I whispered, "Thank you, Dad. We understand now." New Year's promises. A week later, as December turned to January, John and I drafted New Year's promises on colorful paper. He wrote, "Be brave and build happy memories." I wrote, "Honor all parts of our family," and "Keep Dad's legacy alive." At midnight, we stood on the porch in the snow, sparklers in hand. John's sparkler crackled gold. He looked at me, eyes bright. "Happy New Year, sister." I hugged him. "Happy New Year, John." A foundation of love. In the months that followed, our blended family thrived. John excelled in school, proudly sharing his story in essays about families' evolving definitions. He joined a youth Lego league, designing model cities under Marissa's guidance. Levi and I coached his Little League team. He batted a home run in the spring, and the entire family cheered. Lydia became a fixture in John's life. Bedtime stories, museum visits, and holiday dinners. Marissa supported her as more than a grandmother, as a co-parent, confidant, and friend. Our home buzzed with activity and warmth. I returned occasionally to Carter's old construction sites, now redeveloped into community centers. His name, Winfield, appeared on commemorative plaques. I whispered thanks to him in the hush of empty halls, knowing his legacy flourished in structures and souls alike. The final solstice. 1 year after the first solstice gathering, we held another at our home. The tradition had been born of necessity, but now it was a cherished ritual. The solstice wreath hung above the fireplace, and Carter's diary, now filled with family reflections, rested on the mantel. We circled the candles once more. Levi spoke of unity. Marissa spoke of forgiveness. Lydia spoke of second chances. Finally, John, now 8, stepped forward. He looked at each of us, sister, mother, grandmother, father in spirit, adoptive parents, and said simply, "Thank you for loving me all the way through." His words, earnest and brave, illuminated the room more than any candle. We raised our glasses one last time. To family, seen, unseen, and in our hearts. Avery's journey reveals that family isn't defined by the past's secrets, but by the love we choose today. When hidden ties surface, will you cling to fear or embrace hearts waiting for you? Share how you've built family beyond blood. Your story matters.